That's from the courtroom earlier today. And we do have a guest joining us now, attorney Jeffry Finer. Jeffrey, thank you for being with us. You've been an attorney for 40 years, so here to give us some perspective, just overall perspective of the proceedings today.
Certainly, I'm happy to do that. There's relief for a lot of people with this decision to plead guilty, but the pain and the trauma is going to go on. First of all, there's going to be a sentencing coming up in about a month.
Right.
We know what the sentence is going to be. It's going to be 4 consecutive life terms.
And that's what the judge said. That is the higher end. They technically have the ability, the court, to lower the sentence, but that's unlikely, I assume.
It's not going to happen.
Okay, so 4 consecutive life sentences and
without parole.
Without parole.
Which means he will die in prison. And it also means that the state is done with the prosecution. The $1 million or more it would have taken to run this trial isn't going to have to be spent. The possibility of maybe some kind of verdict that would be upsetting is gone. The defense, they're all gone.
Well, in just the trial itself, I mean, irrespective of what the outcome would have been of the trial itself would have been so brutal for families to have sat through.
At the end of crime, the trauma's not over.
Right.
And if there's law enforcement and they catch a perpetrator and they put the perpetrator on trial, there's still grief and trauma for everyone involved. And it's not a question of expense only financial, it's expense emotionally on everyone.
Absolutely.
This would have been a very difficult case to go through a trial. And it may not have been a foregone conclusion, although my best guess is, having now heard the plea, it would have been extremely difficult to defend this case.
But a massive case nonetheless. They talked about having to bring in 10,000 people to vet them for a jury.
That seems large. I don't know that it would have taken that much, but it does require that you have 12 people ultimately sitting who can say in good faith that they don't have a predetermined decision about the outcome. It could have been tried. Eventually we get juries to sit. But the thing is people want finality. And this is the only problem I can see with the decision of what happened today, is that we have finality for a trial. There's not going to be one. But he waived any right to an appeal. That means he's not going to be allowed to appeal any sentence he does get. And it seems like that will be the end of it. But I have to say, it's actually never over in a case of this size.
Right.
He can always allege that his defense counsel weren't adequate for him.
Even though today he answered the judge in sort of that procedural moments that he was not being forced to do this, he had not been promised anything.
Correct.
So he can still go back?
Well, yes, any defendant can at some point within a year, generally, after a conviction like this, and say, you know, I wasn't told certain critical things, or my lawyers failed me, and when I told the judge I wasn't forced, that was based on what I knew at the time. It doesn't happen often. It rarely works, but I want to say this much. The finality, it's never final. There could be another court proceeding within a year's time. He can allege new evidence that he now has that his lawyers failed him. I don't foresee that, but I caution folks when they talk about, is this over? It's probably over, but he may yet be in the headlines in a year's time attacking his lawyers. That's really the last step of it, but then the real finality, the peace for the families is inescapable. The families that agreed to this, the families that don't agree to this resolution, their pain goes on no
because
matter.
All the families have different perspectives, and understandably so.
Of course.
One last quick question. I thought it was interesting today, but you may have some good perspective on this. There has been a gag order in effect. The judge held that gag order until sentencing.
Yeah.
Why not let people speak, being that there's not likely going to be now a trial?
That's a great question. We're not going to see a jury in this case. The jury's aspect of this is now gone.
Right.
He is found guilty. Sentencing, however, is still a moment of great focus, and it is conceivable that a lifting of the gag order could affect sentencing. And it could affect what happens afterwards. I suspect the judge will be forced legally to withdraw the order when the sentencing is done. He does have 30 days in which he can file an appeal. It won't be granted. He's already given up that right. But that kind of tumult that sometimes comes after a case, it's probably best to leave the gag order in place a little longer. Personally, I thought the gag order was gone. Once the jury was out of the scene, I thought, well, that's the end of the gag order. No, the judge is being very careful. And as I thought about it more deeply, I think this judge is wisely using another month of gag order just so that something doesn't go wrong. Sometimes things go wrong.
And there's a lot of emotion, of course.
There
and
is
a lot
a great
of
deal
things
of
that can
emotion.
get out there. Oh, right.
Yeah.
We appreciate it so much.
You're welcome.
You're sort of retired, and we appreciate you
Sort of retired.
coming in and spending a little bit of time with us, giving some perspective. We're going to take a quick break here on KREM 2 News at Noon. We'll be right back with more.